I think it was meant to be a distraction. Yeah, that's right. We were deceived.
What?
I believe this was meant to be a distraction. Think about it. Think about it, right? And Ocho and all their promo alliances came out of nowhere, acting like Shannon Sharpe was about to sign this big old deal. It just blurted out of nowhere on Twitter, social media, everywhere. Just to find out he was dealing with some heinous allegations, right? So right before the heinous allegations come out, boom, a big media push comes out, marketing campaign about $100 million contract that Club Shay Shay and the Shay Shay media is about to sign. And then boom, we find out about all the allegations and so on and so forth. Then everything disappears about this big old deal. We don't hear anything else about the alleged $100 million deal. So why is that? We never even heard who was supposed to give them the $100 million deal.
Asante Samuel exposes Shannon Sharpe's $100 million podcast deal. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
I feel like we have been deceived about old Shannon Sharpe and his team. And what am I talking about? Can anybody guess what I'm talking about when I say we have been deceived by old Shannon Sharpe and his team? Can y'all talk to me in the chat? Y'all know I talk that crap. And y'all need to talk that crap back to me because I like to have fun. You know? But yes, how have we been deceived? Let's talk about it. Shannon Sharpe reportedly expected to sign a $100 million podcast contract, has multiple offers. Has multiple offers. Y'all know one thing I always tell y'all, don't say what needs to be said. My motto is, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. You see? I believe this was meant to be a distraction, right? But let's get into it. Let's finish reading the whole thing. Let's finish reading it out. It says, Shannon Sharpe expected to sign a podcast deal worth more than $100 million after receiving multiple offers for his next contract. Ryan, Michael McCarthy reported from Front Office Sports. The deal will include the Club Shay Shay podcast alongside with shows hosted by Shay Shay Media Network. Those include Jeff Teague's Club 520 podcast and the Nightcap with Shannon Sharpe and Chad Ocho Cinco Johnson, as well as the Bubba Dub Show and the official team podcast of the Atlanta Falcons. News comes amid the pending expiration of Sharpe's deal with the Volume, the media company founded by Colin Cowherd, according to McCarthy and the Glass Guy.
Now, as far as those $100 million potential offer that Shannon Sharpe could get for his production company, you got to think with all the podcasts that you named, the Jeff Teague, the Atlanta Falcons podcast, Club Shay Shay, Nightcap. Club Shay Shay is really the one that's going to move the needle as far as a media deal. Well, at the time, before all the allegations and lawsuits that Shannon Sharpe is going through. But I believe that, those numbers could be real. Whatever he's getting paid at the Volume, you probably got a 3 or 4x that, and that's where you probably get the $100 million figures. But if Shannon Sharpe wasn't going through all this legal issues and lawsuits, I believe he still would have got that money. But everything going on now, I don't know if it's going to happen. But I do believe that number could potentially be real.
The Glass Guy.
Do we believe this to be true? Because I think it was meant to be a distraction. Yeah, that's right. We were deceived. I believe this was meant to be a distraction. Think about it, right? And Ocho and all their promo alliances came out of nowhere, acting like Shannon Sharpe was about to sign this big old deal. It just blurted out of nowhere on Twitter, social media, everywhere. Just to find out he was dealing with some heinous allegations, right? So right before the heinous allegations come out, boom, a big media push comes out, marketing campaign about $100 million contract that Club Shay Shay and the Shay Shay media is about to sign. And then boom, we find out about all the allegations and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Once those numbers came out, those figures, $100 million, within 24 hours, that's when you had the $50 million lawsuit from Jane Doe. which is crazy because when you file these lawsuits, it's not like you file it, then the next day you start getting all these, crazy number amounts. They would have had to file this, weeks and months before, but it's crazy how it dropped after the news of him potentially signing $100 million contract once the volume deal is up. So I get what Asante is saying, like, how do you have this news release that amount of money for Shannon Sharpe Production Company, $100 million, and then there's a lawsuit going on. So I can understand why some people may believe that, was this a real report? Who's coming up with these figures? But it's just a lot of people that's working for these media sites that are going to put this information out there. Maybe they have inside intel that Shannon Sharpe is looking for a huge payout, and they put that article out.
Then everything disappears about this big old deal. We don't hear anything else about the alleged $100 million deal. So why is that? We never even heard who was supposed to give them the $100 million deal. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible. It's definitely possible. It definitely is possible with all the assets like we just talked about that come along with K-State Media. You know what I mean? They have the Bubba Dub show, the Jeff Teague's 520, and so on and so forth. They have a lot of assets attached to the company. So it's definitely worth the check. But something smells fishy. And I could see this concept was designed to try to make companies bite on giving Shannon Sharpe a bigger deal.
And that's all it is. It's a business tactic. Maybe someone that Shannon Sharpe knew, go ahead and put out these articles, let people know this is the buying rate for my production company and assets. Like, you want me? $100 million. So, that could be some alleged stuff going on. And that's all a part of using media to your advantage, being able to put out certain articles and think pieces like, okay, maybe Shannon's worth $100 million. Club Shay Shay, Nightcap, various of other type of podcasts that are on his network. Yeah, you're going to have to pay Shannon Sharpe, a lot of figures to get him on board. So again, what happened after the fact with the allegations and lawsuits? Is there still $100 million offer out there for Shannon? Or since these lawsuits are coming out, now the buying rate for him may be $50 million or $25 million, only because they know he may be in a situation so where he may be a little desperate. Like, I just had to pay Jane Doe X amount of millions. Then I got all these other people that are, calling me out for lawsuits. So maybe instead of $100 million now, all right, go ahead and sign Shannon for the hot 50. Maybe he's only half of what he would have been worth if he didn't get all these crazy lawsuits on his name.
Maybe there was a 30.
That's what you think it was?
Yeah, maybe there was like a $30 or $40 million deal on the table, and that was his bluff to get them to bite on a $100 million deal. You see what I'm saying?
That could be true. Mm-hmm. I agree
on
that.
You got that $30 million, $40 million off. You got $30 million and $40 million offers left and right. And then you say, no, that's not good enough. So let's go out here and act like as if we have bigger deals on the table, and let's see if we can attract some different companies to give us a bigger offer. At the end of the day, that's a lot of money to be giving up for a podcast deal.
Man,
that's why I'm saying it has to be capped. You feel me?
Nah, I don't know. At first,
yeah, as far as, like I said earlier, the business tactics, let's go ahead and, okay, they're looking to sign me for $30 million. Let's go ahead and put out some articles or have people within the network go ahead and say that, Shannon Sharpe is looking to sign $100 million, or that's the going rate. So again, it's all about business, using your leverage. Shannon Sharpe is powerful in media. He was at ESPN once upon a time. He did have the Cat Williams interview. So those two things alone, that's probably worth tens of millions of dollars just to get him on board. Because think about it, the Cat Williams Part 2 interview, after all this stuff going on with Shannon, imagine the type of stuff that's going to be talked about in that interview. So does a media company want to reach out to Shannon Sharpe now, knowing that that Cat Williams Part 2 interview could go crazy? It may not do the 100 million views that it did on YouTube, the first one, but I guarantee just with everything going on with Shannon, and you know how Cat Williams, he's not going to bite his tongue. That could be the driving force of him maybe, getting some money involved. But again, maybe it was 30 or 40 million, and then they boosted up to 100 million with these articles.
I ain't gonna lie, I thought it was like because it came out right before the whole lawsuit came out, so I thought it was like a part of they play, like she only sued because she heard I got the 100 mil. So I could kind of believe that, but now I see like all the assets attached to it, like it's gonna be for Jeff Teague's show, the Bubba Dub show, and all the other under Club Shay Shay Media. I feel like there's more, so it could have been there. It was probably was on the table, but then it probably like fell off the table because the whole situation. But I ain't gonna lie, a few months ago when all that stuff first came up, I thought it was because they was trying to like blame the girl, like she only coming at him because of the huge money she know that's coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a money grab. You always have to look at it being a money grab and things like that. But when you see the recent woman coming forward, this is not a money grab. But do y'all think this deal was a real deal, or was it fabricated a little bit to make us believe otherwise, or to get companies to stroke that fat check? Because
It was
like
real.
I said,
It was real. It was real.
You think it was real?
Again, it was a business play. Now, yeah, he could have had some offers that are in the 30, 40, $50 million range. And then there could be some, networking type articles to go ahead and put out that $100 million type deal that he's looking for. This is common. Think about all the people that got those crazy deals with these major networks. You think that they didn't have a hand in play as far as articles being written about them looking for a type of contract? So again, it's all business. Maybe it was 50 million and they wanted 100 million, and then they probably would have met somewhere in the middle. But unfortunately, with these allegations and lawsuits, it's going to be tough for Shannon Sharpe to get 100 million. But I do believe if he stays consistent, no more issues and trouble, maybe he can kind of get that back up to a 30 or $50 million range for the assets of Shay Media. We'll see what happens moving forward with Shannon Sharpe.